My mother's eulogy, a gentle murmur of sorrow, dissolved into an incoherent hum as my phone vibrated in my pocket. A single anonymous notification, received in the hallowed quiet of the funeral, pulled me from the solemn reverence of the moment. The image that loaded seared itself into my vision, instantly branding itself onto my consciousness. Not of solace, but of my wife, Evelyn, on a stranger's bed, a triumphant flush on her face, while the wilting memorial wreath I'd chosen for my mother lay carelessly discarded on the floor beside them. The accompanying caption, bold and contemptuous, read, "The unloved is the true outsider. Our secret bloom has finally unfurled." The world, once shrouded in grief, fractured into 1,000 shards of betrayal. The internet, as it always does, erupted. My social media feed, usually reserved for academic discourse, transformed into a cesspool of ridicule. Strangers and acquaintances alike mocked me. The cuckold, the leech who dared to ruin another's perfect love story. My esteemed mentor, Professor Thorne, called, his voice tight with barely suppressed rage, but I merely poured myself a coffee, its dark bitterness a fitting companion to my mood. When he sputtered, demanding an explanation, I calmly replied, "If they enjoy posting pictures from a bed, then I suppose I should assist them." With a few taps, I uploaded a counterpost, an image of Evelyn and Finn's child, Leo, accompanied by a paternity test report. My caption was succinct, a cold statement of intent. Protecting the sanctity of marriage. Let's see if the Sterling dynasty can withstand this particular storm. The new scandal, an explosive cocktail of adultery and a secret child, instantly dwarfed the first. It devoured every news cycle, every social media feed. Finn, Evelyn's student lover, once a rising star in his own right, was now universally condemned as a shameless opportunist, a kept man who had seduced his professor. Users swarmed his livestream, demanding his university investigate him for academic fraud. I watched, impassively stirring my coffee, as Finn's pale face flickered across my screen, his hands fumbling to abruptly end the broadcast, looking utterly ravaged. No sooner had his image vanished than my mother-in-law, Martha Sterling, called. Her voice, even before I could utter a greeting, was a drill sergeant's roar. "Alex, are you out of your mind? Get out there immediately and deny everything. Say that child is yours and Evelyn's. Her career is on the rise. She cannot have this stain. I'm giving you 3 minutes." "Mother?" I interjected, my voice a flat, emotionless line, cutting through her tirade. "What exactly am I to explain? That Evelyn cheated on me? I have no desire to be a husband who tolerates such humiliation, nor do I intend to construct a monument to my wife's supposed virtue." On the other end, Martha stomped her foot, a sound so clear it seemed to echo in the quiet room. She gasped for air, then choked out, her voice laced with venom. "Alex, if I don't see this clarified within half an hour, you will face the consequences." She hung up with a sharp click. Professor Thorne, who had witnessed the exchange, hesitated, his brow furrowed. "Alex, the Sterlings are a global pharmaceutical giant. Cross them, and you might find it impossible to stand in this world again." My gaze drifted to my mother's photograph on the table, her gentle smile a stark contrast to the storm brewing within me. "Don't worry, Professor. I have this handled. Anyone audacious enough to betray me on the day of my mother's funeral will have to contend with my full fury." Half an hour passed. No clarification from me. As public outrage surged, the door to my study was violently kicked open. I had just finished typing a message on my phone. "I accept your proposal. Let the Sterling Corporation fall." A reply flashed instantly. "Excellent, son. You finally see reason." A faint, bitter smile touched my lips as I slowly looked up. Evelyn stood framed in the doorway, her usually composed face flushed crimson with rage, her eyes blazing. "Alex, are you insane? Do you have any idea what you've done?" I calmly placed my phone on the desk, meeting her panicked gaze. "Finn's girlfriend betrayed him," she blurted, her voice shaking, grasping for a lie. I was merely comforting her. Why must you be so petty? And that child has nothing to do with me. Finn adopted him out of kindness. Are you truly so envious because you can't have children of your own? Her saccharine mention of Finn was like nails on a chalkboard. Evelyn and I have been married for 10 years. I stated, my voice devoid of warmth. And we remained childless. I always blamed myself, often feeling a pang of guilt. It wasn't until yesterday that I discovered why. She already had a child with someone else. I met her gaze, my voice unwavering. Comforting you? Does comfort require a luxury hotel suite with a king-sized bed? Does comfort include bearing him a child? Evelyn faltered, her lips trembling, unable to form a coherent response. She hadn't expected me to know so much. Her anger quickly curdled into shame, and she shrieked, "It was a moment of weakness. So what if I have a child? Are you truly so heartless as to make a child motherless?" "Alex, I have a child and yet I haven't divorced you. You should be grateful. How can you be so cruel as to destroy everything?" Her audacious logic made me laugh, a hollow, mirthless sound. During our doctoral studies, I had ceded my research findings to her, propelling her to instant fame. Afterward, I quietly continued my work in the lab, publishing papers under her name in prestigious journals. Now I was the cruel one. I slowly rose, my voice cutting and cold. A moment of weakness? A moment of weakness that spanned 3 years, thousands of hotel room bookings? A moment of weakness that saw her deliberately hide from me that her study abroad was actually a trip to bear his child overseas? Evelyn, I am not destroying her. Your disgusting affair destroyed her long ago. And you call me cruel? I don't even know where to begin. Must I be the humiliated husband and then cover for her too? I was the naive fool. Evelyn trembled with fury, but my icy gaze forced her to compose herself. She took 2 quick steps towards me, her voice dropping to a near-pleading whisper. "My love, I know I was wrong, but my achievements today are the fruit of our combined efforts. Do you truly want to destroy it all? You once promised to love me forever. I'll agree to anything. I won't see him again, I promise." She reached out, attempting to grasp my arm, a fawning gesture. In the past, her slightest show of vulnerability, any request, and I would have agreed. Had she asked me to die, I wouldn't have hesitated. But now, her desperate plea only filled me with contempt. Before I could speak, Evelyn's phone rang. I glanced at the screen, a family photo of the 3 of them. As she answered, a child's panicked voice spilled out. "Mommy, what do we do? Daddy's all blood. I'm scared, Mommy. Come find me." Interspersed with the child's cries was Finn's weak, aggrieved voice. "Evelyn, it's nothing. It's all my fault. Don't let him make things difficult for you because of me. I'm wrong. I must bear the consequences. From now on, don't worry about the child either. He was never meant to have a mother." Then the line went dead. Moments later, Finn posted a photo on social media, a dramatic shot implying self-harm, captioned, "A man like a rainbow. A pity he is not mine." Evelyn's face went chalk white. When she turned to me, her eyes no longer held any trace of weakness. Slap! Her palm connected hard with my cheek. The wedding ring on her finger scratched my skin, leaving a stinging mark. "If anything happens to Finn, I will never forgive you." I wiped the faint trace of blood from my cheek, a derisive laugh escaping my lips. "Evelyn, do you truly believe your love is some grand, noble tragedy? And I, the humiliated husband, should silently endure it, even as you cavort with another man on the day of my mother's funeral? Why haven't you gone to him yet? Are you not worried he's sad?" Evelyn stared at me as if I were a stranger, staggering back a step. I added in a frigid tone, "Remember to tell him if he's going to put on a show, he should at least commit. A few bags of stage blood aren't convincing enough for a slashed wrist. Next time, make sure it's real, or people will just laugh." Evelyn, a portrait of desperate fury, fled. I watched her go, a profound emptiness in my heart. Professor Thorne helped me bandage the stinging scratch on my cheek. I then drove home to pack. This house, our marital home, bought with my first major bonus check. My parents had opposed my marriage to Evelyn then. I had fought with them, had my bank cards frozen, and left home, vowing to live happily ever after with her. I had waited patiently for my parents to finally accept her, only for her to commit such a sordid betrayal. Mid-packing, I heard the front door open. Martha Sterling swept into the living room, dark sunglasses obscuring her eyes. Without preamble, she thrust a check into my hand. Her voice was imperious. "There's $50 million in this account. Go to a press conference this afternoon and announce the child is yours. Then I will forgive you, and on behalf of Evelyn, I apologize." I took the check. Martha gave a dismissive, contemptuous smile. "This sum should be enough to buy your loyalty for a lifetime." Her words hadn't even finished, the smirk still forming on her lips, when I tore the check into tiny pieces. $50 million? That wouldn't even cover my housekeeper's grocery budget. I had never let them know my true identity. The scion of one of the most influential dynasties, my disagreement with my family was merely a private matter, not a permanent estrangement. Martha ripped off her sunglasses, her face a mask of shock. "Are you insane? What do you want?" I brushed the shredded paper from my hands, my voice flat. "Nothing. Only justice." Martha let out a harsh laugh. "Justice? What do you think you are? Do you truly believe you can demand justice from the Sterling family? Alex Stone, you think just because you share a name with the Stonehaven family in the capital you can touch us? They wouldn't even acknowledge you. You will bear the consequences yourself." She spun on her heel and hurried out. I couldn't help but chuckle darkly at her retreating back. How ironic. The Stonehaven family in the capital was indeed my family. The Sterling family's retaliation came swifter and more brutally than I'd anticipated. That very night, I was accused of plagiarism in my doctoral thesis, even charged with bullying colleagues and stealing their experimental results. Reporters swarmed my house, blocking every exit. Partner companies uniformly issued statements canceling contracts, demanding billions in compensation. Professor Thorne called, his sigh heavy with helplessness. "Alex, I warned you. The Sterlings are not to be trifled with. They want to ruin you completely. How will you ever stand in this field again?" Overnight, I went from a brilliant scientist to a disgraced plagiarist. The online vitriol drowned me. Turns out he was just a kept man, a deplorable character. No wonder Professor Evelyn cheated. To endure such a disgusting person for 3 years, Professor Evelyn truly has the patience of a saint. Some even dug up my contact information. From morning till night, hateful messages and threatening calls flooded my phone. Meanwhile, Finn and Evelyn reveled in their newfound notoriety. They began public live streams, even introducing Leo, the child they had hidden, to the public, crafting the image of a happy, unconventional family. The media endlessly replayed clips of the Ice Queen, Professor Evelyn passionately declaring, "Finn has sacrificed so much for me. I cannot let him suffer any longer." That evening, Evelyn returned home, bringing Finn and Leo with her. She commanded, her voice icy, "Clear all your things out of the master bedroom. Tonight, the 3 of us will sleep there." She didn't even bother to look at me, her tone radiating a self-righteous conviction. She clearly believed that after the lesson the Sterling family had taught me, I wouldn't dare resist. When I didn't move, she frowned, her voice turning frigid. "Alex Stone, what are you waiting for? While you're at it, make Leo some supper." I sat on the sofa, my gaze fixed coldly on her. "I am not a servant of the Sterling family. Why should I obey you?" Evelyn gaped, clearly not expecting my defiance. Behind her, Finn clutched Leo's hand, feigning distress. "Evelyn, it's fine. Leo and I can stay in a hotel. Professor Alex doesn't welcome me, and I wouldn't want to upset Leo." No sooner had he finished than Leo burst into tears. "Mommy, I'm scared." The father and son presented a picture of utter helplessness. I chuckled, a cold, humorless sound. If you knew you weren't welcome, why did you show your face again? Have you no shame, Finn? Just yesterday you were slashing your wrist, and today you're fully recovered? Even the lab pigs would be impressed by that recovery speed. Next time you want to stage a pathetic scene, try actually cutting yourself, otherwise, you'll be the laughingstock of the city. Finn's face turned crimson, his shoulders trembling with silent rage. Unable to utter a word, he turned and stormed out. Evelyn watched them go, her eyes filled with anguish, then turned to me, her gaze blazing with hatred. Alex Stone, intimidating a child? Is that what a man does? Just you wait. I will make sure you never rise again in this life. I found her frantic pursuit of Finn almost comical. Fine, I'll wait. The next morning, as I left for work, a figure suddenly lunged from the shadows, dousing me with a bucket of thick, pungent paint. The smell was so overpowering I could barely open my eyes. Moments later, a heavy club struck my knee. I crumpled to the ground as a flurry of fists rained down, a brutal storm of pain. I curled into a ball, trying to protect my head. I don't know how long it lasted before I heard the sharp click of high heels. Martha stood over me, her voice dripping with triumph. Alex Stone, do you regret it now? I warned you, you bring these consequences upon yourself. Just take full responsibility. Say everything about Evelyn was a fabrication, and I might consider giving you a way out. I wiped the paint from my face, my lips twisting into a contemptuous smile at her smug, self-righteous expression. Evelyn betrayed me first. In recent years, my mother's illness meant my father was wholly devoted to her. But that doesn't mean the Stonehaven family is in decline. The Sterlings are nothing but glorified new money, barely fit to lick the boots of the true elite. The only reason I never let them know my true identity was to maintain my privacy, my dignity, and, incidentally, to offer Evelyn a path to a respectable life. Since they insist on digging their own graves, I see no reason to hold back any longer. Seeing my stubborn refusal, Martha ordered her bodyguards to resume the beating. Only when my head throbbed, a dull ache spreading through me, did she finally grunt, her voice filled with disdain. You refused the toast, so you drink the penalty. Don't blame me for being ruthless. Alex Stone, I will make you utterly despair. She strode away, arrogant and self-assured. I staggered to my feet, intending to return home to change, when my father called. His deep voice held an unmistakable edge of suppressed fury. Alex, such a shameless lot. Why are you still trying to save their face? Do whatever you deem necessary. The Stonehaven family can shoulder anything. My family's unwavering support warmed my chest, and my voice caught. Don't worry, father. Taking a moment to steady my breathing, I dialed an old acquaintance. The Sterling Corporation's assets. Let's carve them up. A few seconds of silence, then a joyful laugh. Alex Stone, you've finally seen the light. How do you want to do this? Quinn's cheerful voice held a knowing certainty, as if she had long anticipated my call. The Stonehaven scion finally comes around, huh? Looks like you've sobered up. I recognized the underlying meaning in her words and sighed. A reluctant admission. Yes, to have reached this point, it was indeed all my own doing. I pressed my fingers to my temples, avoiding the still tender cuts on my face. Each dull ache was a harsh reminder of my past foolishness. I didn't refute her, merely stated calmly, let's not dwell on the past. Now, about dismantling the Sterling Corporation, what resources do you have at your disposal? Quinn's laughter faded, her tone instantly sharpening. Last year, the Sterlings stole a lucrative overseas vaccine contract from my company, Quinn Industries. They cut costs using substandard materials. I have laboratory reports from the supply chain, as well as evidence of their bribery payments to customs officials. Furthermore, Evelyn's brother, Brendan Sterling, owes $30 million in gambling debts to loan sharks, my people. But, she paused, these are just trivialities. To truly bring down the Sterling Corporation, we need your hand. After all, Evelyn's academic achievements were all built by you. Alex, when you handed over your core research during your doctoral phase, Did you truly leave yourself no fallback? My eyes flicked towards the desk drawer where I kept a blue folder. Inside lay a decade's worth of experimental logbooks, each page bearing my signature and date, accompanied by correspondence with my thesis advisor. All meticulously documented the process of my transferring the targeted drug delivery system research to Evelyn. Back then, I believed it was love, an understanding of her impoverished circumstances, her desperate ambition for recognition. Only now did I realize I had personally handed her the knife that would stab me in the back. The thought made my throat constrict, my voice carrying a rare tremor of emotion. My arguments with my family weren't because my parents opposed my marriage to Evelyn. I confessed to Quinn, my voice low, but because they wanted me to stop hiding my identity, to at least let the Sterlings understand the true weight of the name Alex Stone. But I refused. I believed living with her, relying solely on my own abilities, was true dignity. I thought giving her my research would make her feel more secure. I remembered Evelyn as a nameless research student at the medical academy. She wore a faded lab coat, often the last to leave the lab. When acid burned her hands during experiments, she would simply grit her teeth and continue. The first time I truly noticed her was during a presentation for my advisor. Her experimental proposal had a clear flaw, but no one dared to point it out. Only she, her face flushed, hesitantly rose and mumbled, "Professor, could this section be revised?" She was mocked by senior students for overestimating herself. I had just returned from overseas, working on a project with my advisor, and I couldn't stand to see others bullied like that. I offered to help her refine her proposal. From then on, she often sought my help with her studies, always bringing homemade lunchboxes. "Alex, thank you for your help," she'd say shyly. "I cooked this myself. I hope you don't mind." The lunchboxes were simple scrambled eggs with tomatoes, stir-fried pork with peppers, yet their flavor was surprisingly delicious. Accustomed to the elaborate meals at home, I found those humble dishes strangely precious. She told me about her family. Her father died young, her mother remarried with 2 children, and her stepfather was unkind. She could only rely on scholarships and part-time jobs to pay her tuition. Her greatest dream was to become a doctor, to give her mother a better life. As she spoke, her eyes shone, like a defiant sprout pushing through solid rock. I was deceived by that light, believing her to be resilient, pure, a woman worthy of my protection. Later, when we became a couple, she wept, telling me, "Alex, I'm not worthy of you. You come from such a good family, so capable, and I'm just an ordinary girl." At the time, my heart ached. I held her close, saying, "Evelyn, don't say that. You are the one I love. Family background has nothing to do with it. I will help you achieve your dreams." Looking back, those tears and that vulnerability were likely a meticulously crafted performance. She knew my soft spot for fragility, my aversion to harshness. She knew I admired hardworking, ambitious women, and deliberately molded herself into the image I most wanted to protect. The year I graduated with my doctorate, my advisor recommended both of us to compete for a national research project. Whoever secured it would be directly appointed associate professor. My targeted drug delivery system research was already well developed. Submitting it would have guaranteed success. But Evelyn came to me in tears, saying her mother was seriously ill, needed surgery, and only the prize money from this project could save her. "Alex," she pleaded, "I know this research is your life's work, but I'm truly out of options. If you don't help me, my mother won't survive, and neither will I." She trembled with sobs. In that moment, my mind clouded with emotion, and I handed over my research. The day she submitted the documents, she hugged me, whispering in my ear, "Alex, you are so good to me. I will never forget your kindness, not for my whole life." Remembering those words now, they sounded like the bitterest irony. She truly hadn't forgotten. She had simply taken my kindness for granted, transforming it into the capital for her betrayal. Afterward, with my assistance, she steadily advanced. But once she achieved fame and success, she grew to despise me, wishing she could trample me into the mud. Shaking off the past, I closed the blue folder, my finger resting on a page of experimental data. I have comprehensive evidence of Evelyn Sterling's academic fraud, I told Quinn, including surveillance video of her altering clinical trial data. The anti-cancer drug she launched last year led to 15 patient deaths due to side effects. The Sterlings covered it up, but I have contact information for the victims' families. On the other end, I heard the rustle of a pen on paper. Quinn's voice was filled with excited approval. Perfect. You handle the release of the academic fraud evidence and the drug-related deaths. Nail Evelyn Sterling to the pillar of shame for her hypocrisy and prompt an investigation into Sterling Pharmaceuticals. I'll take care of Brendan's gambling debts and the substandard materials. I'll even send the loan sharks to cause a ruckus and throw them into complete disarray. I also have Finn, I added. His 3 university papers were all plagiarized from foreign scholars. My assistant has already prepared a comparative report. I'll send it to the university's investigative committee simultaneously. Quinn laughed. Alex Stone, you're going for total annihilation this time, aren't you? I like it. Does your father know you're finally making your move? Yes, he's had the legal department preparing. Once Sterling stock plummets, we'll coordinate with other shareholders to acquire their shares. I hung up, placing the blue folder into my briefcase. As I stood up, Evelyn returned, accompanied by Finn and Leo. Finn carried several luxury shopping bags, while Leo clung shyly to Evelyn's leg. Mommy, why does that man look like a dog? Leo piped up. Evelyn froze, her face darkening. She pulled Leo behind her, admonishing him sternly, Leo, don't say such things. But the child, oblivious, raised his innocent face, pointed at the unwashed paint on my clothes, and blinked. But Mommy, he's so dirty, like the stray dogs downstairs. Finn said nothing, but his eyes were downcast, a subtle, unhidden smirk playing on his lips. He deliberately piled the luxury bags on the coffee table, a small mountain of ostentation. Evelyn took a deep breath, turning to me, her voice regaining its earlier arrogance. Alex Stone, I'm here to discuss something important. Tomorrow, Leo has an interview at an elite kindergarten, and both parents need to attend. You will come with me. I remained seated on the sofa, my gaze cold. Why should I? He's not my son. You are my husband. Evelyn raised her voice. Leo is now publicly known as my son. You are his father, so attending his interview is only natural, isn't it? Alex Stone, don't be so selfish. Just consider it helping me one last time. I let out a contemptuous laugh, my eyes sweeping over the luxury bags in Finn's hands. Help you take another man's child to an interview, then watch you use the money I helped you earn to buy them these things? Evelyn, do you truly think I'm still the obedient fool I once was? At this point, Finn slowly spoke. Professor Alex, I know you're angry, but the child is innocent. Leo just wants a complete family. The interview won't cause you any trouble. He patted Leo's head. Leo, quickly tell Uncle Alex you'll be good. But the child didn't cooperate. He just clung tighter to Evelyn, whimpering, I don't want to go with that uncle. I want Daddy to go with me. Finn feigned helplessness, sighing as he looked at Evelyn. Evelyn, perhaps I should go. Don't make things difficult for Professor Alex. No, Evelyn immediately retorted. What is your standing now? If reporters catch you accompanying Leo to kindergarten, wouldn't all our previous efforts be wasted? Alex Stone, I'm telling you again, tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., you must be downstairs waiting for me or else. Or else what? I interrupted, rising to my feet, my cold gaze sweeping over all 3 of them. Or else your mother will hire someone to beat me up again. Or accuse me of plagiarism again. Evelyn, I've had enough of your games. I walked to my briefcase, extracted the blue folder, and pulled out a few sheets of paper. They were the loan agreements Evelyn had signed years ago when she wanted my research. At the time, she feared I might change my mind, so she personally wrote and signed them, stating she was temporarily borrowing Alex Stone's targeted drug delivery system research to be repaid in full in the future. Below were her signature and the date. At the time, I thought it unnecessary and casually tucked it into my lab notebook. Now, it had become the most crucial piece of evidence. "Look closely," I said, holding the paper before Evelyn's face. "You wrote this yourself. It's black and white. You can't deny it." Then I pulled out several photographs. They were of her and Finn abroad with their newborn child. In the background was a private overseas hospital. She held a freshly delivered Leo, while Finn stood beside her, beaming. The dates on the photos precisely matched the period she claimed to be studying abroad for advanced learning. Evelyn's face went ashen. She lunged to snatch the photos, but I evaded her. Finn also panicked, stepping forward to help, but a single look from me forced him to retreat. "I won't be going anywhere," I said, replacing the loan agreement and photos in the folder. My voice was cold. "And let me remind you, don't even dream of passing Leo off as our child. I've already sent a complete paternity test report, along with your medical records detailing your rare blood type, to the kindergarten principal. He's an old classmate of my mother's. Do you think he'll help you keep it a secret?" Evelyn's legs went weak. She would have collapsed if Finn hadn't steadied her. She stared at me, her eyes wide with horror. When did you contact the principal? Have you been planning this all along?" "From the day you went on your secret rendezvous with Finn, at my mother's funeral I began to plan," I stated calmly. "I gave you opportunities, but you squandered them. Evelyn Sterling, what you owe me, what you owe my mother, what you owe the patients who died from your fraudulent drugs. I will collect every last bit." With that, I picked up my briefcase and turned towards the door. At the threshold, I paused, turning back to face their stunned faces. "Oh, I almost forgot to mention. I, Alex Stone, am the Stone of Stonehaven Corporation." My final words exploded like thunder in the living room. Evelyn's hand, tightly gripping Finn's, whitened as she squeezed. Her already pale face became utterly bloodless, her lips trembling, unable to form a single sound. Leo, nestled in Finn's arms, was frightened by the sudden tension. His mouth puckering, on the verge of tears, but Finn quickly covered it. Finally, Evelyn found her voice, though it was a shaky, disbelieving whisper. "Stonehaven Corporation? Are you talking about the conglomerate that controls over half of the pharmaceutical supply chain in the capital?" I didn't answer, but from my gaze, she read the truth. I had never been one to lie. Looking at Evelyn's face, now almost entirely collapsed, I felt no pity, only a belated, profound sense of vindication. All those years, for the sake of what I thought was love, I had intentionally hidden my true identity, believing it would earn me genuine, equal affection. But in their eyes, I was merely a useful pawn, easily manipulated, even replaceable by Finn, a shameless opportunist. "No, it can't be." Evelyn shook her head, staggering a step forward. "All those years ago, you argued with your family, your bank cards were even frozen. You were clearly just a—" Her sentence abruptly choked off. Finally, she understood. Given Stonehaven Corporation's financial might, freezing my bank cards had merely been a disciplinary measure from my elders, not a complete severance of ties. The marital home I had casually purchased back then was but a speck in Stonehaven's vast assets. Finn's face had also changed completely. He instinctively pulled Leo behind him, as if fearing I would unleash my anger on the child. But he had forgotten that he was the one who had embraced that child, staging a victim act in front of me. He was the one who flaunted luxury cars on social media, posting boastful statuses that made me the public's laughingstock. "You knew all along. You always knew." Evelyn buried her face in her hands, her voice laced with sobs, not of regret, but of sheer terror. "You deliberately didn't tell us. You watched us play our tricks, watched my mother abuse you. This was all you waiting for today, waiting for us to commit enough wrongdoings so you could net us all at once." "Yes," I calmly admitted. "I gave you countless opportunities. The first time you and Finn checked into a hotel, the time you falsified your thesis data, the time your mother came to insult me with 50 million. I didn't truly act then. But you, on the day my mother passed away, you were still embracing Finn. You let your mother hire thugs to beat my head until it bled. And you even expected me to raise another man's child for you. Evelyn, you all walked down this path of self-destruction yourselves. Just then, Evelyn's phone vibrated violently. It was a call from the vice president of Sterling Pharmaceuticals. She answered, trembling. After only 2 sentences, the phone clattered to the floor, its screen shattering. "What is it?" Finn asked, panicked. Evelyn didn't respond, only stared at me. Her eyes filled with utter despair. The voice from the other end of the line was loud, echoing from the broken phone. I distinctly heard snippets. "The regulatory body has sealed our production lines. Preparing to announce charges of copyright infringement. Stock has plummeted to an all-time low. Stonehaven is already buying up shares." Those news fragments were like daggers piercing Evelyn's heart. She finally understood that I wasn't bluffing. I truly intended to bankrupt Sterling Pharmaceuticals, to make her and Finn pay for everything. "Alex Stone, I beg you." Evelyn suddenly collapsed to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "Please, spare the Sterling family. We were wrong, truly wrong. I will cut ties with Finn. I will return all your research to you. I will bow my head before your mother's altar and beg for forgiveness. Please." Her tears and snot ran onto my trouser leg, a pathetic, disgusting sight. But watching her, my heart remained unmoved. When she and Finn were wrapped in each other's arms in that hotel, why hadn't she remembered I was keeping vigil by my mother's casket? I gently lifted my foot, shaking her hand away. "It's too late." With that, I turned, opened the door, and walked out. Downstairs, a Stonehaven car was already waiting. Before getting in, I looked back at the building one last time. This place was once my so-called home, a witness to my 10 years of marriage to Evelyn. But now, only deceit and betrayal remained within its walls. The car slowly pulled away from the apartment complex. I took out my phone and sent my father a message. "Father, it's done." His reply came swiftly, "Come home. Your mother would be at peace." As for those who had wronged me, I would never look back. Not long after I arrived home, Quinn's sleek supercar pulled up to the gate. She stepped out in 10-centimeter heels, her sunglasses sliding down her nose. Quinn's eyes sparkled with a sarcastic mirth. In her hand, she carried a black briefcase. She approached me, shaking it, her voice filled with boastful excitement. "Alex Stone, I've brought you something good. Original reports on Sterling's substandard materials, and Brendan Sterling's gambling debt papers too. All solid evidence, enough to put them behind bars." I reached out to take them, but she playfully pulled them behind her back, a sly grin on her face. "How will you thank me?" Before I could speak, she continued, "I'm hungry now. Come eat with me." Without waiting for a reply, she opened the passenger door and gently pushed me into the seat. I was surprised when she chose a restaurant directly beneath the Sterling Pharmaceuticals building. I frowned, but Quinn paid no attention. Her heels clicked as she got out, looking up at the signboard, her voice laced with irony. "I used to find that sign so obnoxious whenever I passed by. Now it looks like a countdown timer." I followed her out, my gaze sweeping over the entrance. Several uniformed regulatory officers were pasting seals on the doors. The entrance was packed with reporters and onlookers. Camera flashes popped incessantly. In the crowd, some held signs. "Sterling fakes drugs, harms people." Others cried out, demanding justice for their loved ones. Shouts, wails, all merged into a chaotic din. Quinn chose a window seat, ordering a selection of my favorite dishes. She speared a piece of steak with her fork, slowly cutting it into smaller pieces, but her eyes kept darting to the window, her voice filled with gloating. "See that man in the suit? Isn't that Sterling's CFO? Last time at the industry conference, he bragged to me about Sterling's conscientious medicine. Now he's been publicly humiliated." I didn't look outside, merely took a sip of the lemon water in front of me. Quinn pushed the plate of cut steak towards me, raising an eyebrow. What's wrong? No appetite? Or do you think I chose this place too deliberately? Neither. I shook my head, picking up my fork. I just think this charade should end. As I spoke, my phone rang. I answered, a serious voice instantly greeting me. Professor Stone, the academic investigation into Finn has concluded. The evidence is conclusive. The university has decided to expel him and will report his plagiarism to the Ministry of Education, blacklisting him from academia. Furthermore, regarding the previous accusations of plagiarism against you, we have verified that they were fabrications by the Sterling family. The university will publicly clear your name. I hung up. Quinn smiled, raising her glass. Congratulations, Dr. Stone. You've finally cleared your name. I raised my glass in return, but my heart remained calm. All of this was what I deserved. It had simply been delayed by the Sterling family for too long. Just then, a commotion erupted at the restaurant entrance. We looked up to see Evelyn standing there, her eyes wide with terror as they fixed on me. After a long moment, she let out a hoarse cry. Alex Stone, you want to divorce me because of her, don't you? She wore a crumpled white lab coat, her hair disheveled and matted against her cheeks. Dark circles underscored her eyes. The once aloof and dignified demeanor of a renowned medical professor had vanished without a trace. Quinn raised an eyebrow, setting her glass down, leaning back in her chair with a look of amusement. She watched Evelyn like one would a performing clown, a mocking curve on her lips. Professor Sterling, are you perhaps mistaken? Alex and I are merely business partners. On the contrary, you are the one who committed adultery, engaged in academic fraud, and personally destroyed the best hand you were dealt. And now you blame others. Partners. Evelyn didn't believe it for a second. She stumbled forward a few steps, only to be stopped by the restaurant's security guards. But she still pointed an accusing finger at me, screaming, Alex Stone, you clearly told me you would love me forever. Now you're eating with her, conspiring with her to destroy the Sterling family. It's because of her that you don't want me anymore. She seduced you. She made you fall in love with her. I ask you, I said, my voice ice cold, stepping forward with each question. On the day my mother died, you, in your lab coat still bearing the university emblem, ran into a hotel with Finn. Did you think I would still love you then? You took the research I gave you, falsified it as your own, and caused 15 patients to die. Did you think I would still love you then? You had your mother hire people to beat me until my head bled, and you wanted me to raise your illegitimate child. Did you think I would still love you then? With each question, I took another step. Evelyn's face grew progressively paler until I stood directly before her, looking down. In my eyes, there was no longer resentment, only absolute silence. Evelyn Sterling, my divorce from you has nothing to do with anyone else. It's because you are dirty. Your character is dirty, and your heart is even dirtier. The whispers and murmurs around us grew louder. People pointed at her, discussing her incessantly. Evelyn suddenly covered her ears, screaming, No, it's not like that. Alex Stone tricked me. He intentionally hid his identity. He deliberately toyed with me. I laughed, a cold, sharp sound. I hid my identity? Evelyn, do you dare say you weren't with Finn because he was young, because he could satisfy your vanity? Evelyn's lips trembled, unable to utter a word. She must have forgotten that when Finn first entered the university, he was so poor he couldn't even afford a proper lab coat. It was she who had, step by step, showered him with luxury items, bought him sports cars. Just then, several police officers entered the restaurant, heading straight for Evelyn. Professor Evelyn Sterling, we have received a complaint. You are suspected of embezzling public funds and covering up academic fraud. We ask you to accompany us for further investigation. Evelyn completely panicked. She suddenly lunged at me, trying to grab my arm, but was restrained by the security guards. Alex Stone, save me. I know I was wrong. I will never contact Finn again. I'll come home with you, we can start over. Please? I looked at her, crying, snot and tears streaming down her face, my heart utterly unmoved. Some mistakes, once made, leave no path for return. The police stepped forward and cuffed her. As she was led away, Evelyn continued to shriek my name, her voice filled with despair. Only when her figure disappeared through the restaurant doors did the murmurs gradually subside. Quinn dabbed the corner of her mouth with a napkin, her voice light. Done. The eyesore is gone. Now we can eat in peace. Oh, the university called earlier. They'll publicly clear your name regarding the plagiarism. Should I have my media team coordinate and perhaps leak a few more of Evelyn Sterling's dirty laundry items? No need. I shook my head, sitting back down. My integrity will prove itself. No need to waste time on someone who has already fallen. Quinn nodded. When we left the restaurant, the Sterling Pharmaceuticals signboard had been completely removed, leaving only a bare wall. Quinn looked at the wall, smiling softly. From now on, this will be the Stonehaven Research Center. I suppose it's being put to good use. I looked up at the sky. The sunset bathed the world in a brilliant golden light, warm and strangely comforting. The resentment, the anger, the pain of the past decade all seemed to dissipate in that moment. When the car arrived back at Stonehaven Manor, my father was already waiting at the gate. In his hand, he held a freshly printed newspaper. The headline clearly stated, Sterling Pharmaceuticals suspected of multiple illegal activities. Executives arrested. Stonehaven Corporation to acquire production lines. Focus on cancer research. It's all over, son. My father clapped me on the shoulder, his eyes filled with relief and pride. Tomorrow, the university will hold a press conference to clarify all the rumors. From now on, you can simply dedicate yourself to your research. Don't let these trivial matters bother you anymore. I nodded, stepping into the house. In the living room, my mother's photograph was displayed in the most prominent position. In the picture, she still smiled as gently as ever. I walked over, lightly tracing the frame, and whispered, Mother, it's all over. I will live well and use my research to help more people. I won't disappoint you. The days ahead would no longer hold betrayal, no longer hold deceit. Only love and hope.